Jon Jones has been the center of attention for a while now, and not always for good reasons. So let's check out some of the most controversial moments of his career until now, starting with the Matt Hamill fight, which honestly has a hot pot of controversy. Now, it is known to this day to be the only loss on Jon Jones' career. He is known to be a man of commitment and will, so Hamill wasn't posed to be much of a threat to him. That became even more apparent when the two stepped into the octagon with each other. Jones dominated the fight and left the crowd gasping for more.
Matt Hamill's in deep, deep trouble.
Big elbows from Johnny Bones Jones.
Yeah, he can't put his hands down on Jon Jones' hips.
Jones is looking at Mazzagatti, Joe.
Hamill, try as he may, couldn't do much throughout the fight. Luckily for him, the fight ended early, though the final result wasn't one that the crowd loved. Early on in the fight, Jones took down Hamill and started shattering his face with elbows. The Red stopped the fight during the onslaught. And Howard Hamill with the winning decision. Jones had struck Hamill with a 12-6 elbow. This was considered illegal and had ended up backfiring big time. And that is how Matt Hamill became the only fighter to have ever vested Jon Jones, even if it was on a technicality. Remember folks, beggars can't be choosers. Still though, Jones has had his fair share of problems outside the octagon as well, one of them being arrested while driving under the influence. Now there comes a time in everybody's life when you just wish you could redo a couple of things. In Jon Jones's case, it was the one time when he was arrested for a DUI. I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't the best look for the light heavyweight champion at the time. May 19th, 2012 will always be the day that Jon Jones will wish that he could have back.
This fight. Jon Jones remains the UFC light heavyweight champion.
Jones was partying in New York and was on his way back home when it happened. He was driving his Bentley back to his place. That was when the car got a bit out of control and swerved into a utility pole at 5 a.m. At this moment, Jones knew he'd messed up big time. Jones was then arrested for a DUI and sentenced to a ton of community service. The UFC star had to pay a fine of $1,000. He had to install ignition interlocks on all of his vehicles. What's more, he also had to attend a victim's impact class and also had his license suspended for 6 months. It's safe to say this wasn't the best time in the superstar's life. Since then, Jones has apologized for the incident a ton and talked about how he learned from his mistakes. Plus, he's received his fair share of flack for being irresponsible since then as well, and yet there have been a bunch of other controversies that just keep piling on too. Yep, you guessed it, we're talking about the infamous UFC 251 debacle. Okay, so the UFC's been accused of a lot of things. However, there's one thing they pride themselves in, and that is because they've never had to cancel a card in the 19 years the company's been around. At least that was the case until Jones decided to make history. See, it all began when Jones was scheduled to face off against Dan Henderson for the light heavyweight title in UFC 251. Though Henderson managed to get himself injured, this resulted in him being forced to drop out of the fight. Now, had this been a normal card, everything would have probably been smooth sailing. However, the UFC had a giant problem. They had a title fight on the cards and no challenger, so off they went in search of an opponent worthy of Jon Jones. They landed on Chael Sonnen, who accepted the fight. That said, problems arose from Jones's side of the fence. He decided that there just wasn't enough time to focus and train for the fight. I get it, new fighters and the stakes are high. Who would willingly want to put themselves in such a position? However, no one expected Jones to bow out of a fight like that. Everyone expected Jones to step up to the challenge and take on Sonnen, but that wasn't the case. Instead, the UFC had to cancel the title fight as a whole, and just like that, Jones managed to escape a fight he would have been very ill prepared for. Still, people weren't satisfied. There were a lot of fans who were looking forward to seeing Jones go up against Chael Sonnen, and they were pretty disappointed that their golden boy had decided to drop out of the race. Jones got an insane amount of flack from all sides. To this day, fans occasionally remind him about the debacle that was UFC 251. Now, if you think this was a controversial fight, wait till you hear about it. How Jones defeated Gustafsson as his 6th title defense. Now, he's known to be a dominating force in the octagon.
Jones to the body. And it is all over! Jon Jones is the youngest champion in UFC history!
But every once in a while, every champion meets their match. In Jones's case, that would be Alexander Gustafsson. Gustafsson was a menace in the octagon. Coming into the fight, a lot of people thought Jon Jones would have his work cut out for him. However, sadly, that didn't turn out to be the case. Still, though, this win is recorded as one of the most controversial victories that Jon Jones has had in recent times. Gustafsson gave Jones hell in the cage.
Landed by the challenger.
And again, beautiful left. The most impressive thing has not just been the striking of Gustafsson, but his ability to stuff the takedown.
It seemed like for everything that Jones tried, Gustafsson had a counter for. He became the first fighter to ever have taken down Jon Jones. That in itself was an insanely talented feat. Still, no matter how much he wanted it to happen, the fight was dragged to the final bell. Both men stood tall. Most people expected to hear Bruce Buffer call out Gustafsson's name. That said, it turned out that Jones had defended his title once again, and it was all thanks to a judge's decision. To this day, a lot of people believe that Gustafsson is the only fighter who's gotten close to defeating Jon Jones. However, his brawls don't end in the cage. That much was proven thanks to his brawl against Daniel Cormier in 2014. Yeah, that was a wild year for the UFC. Though the biggest highlight was the famed brawl between Cormier and Jones, this was some legendary stuff. If you ever wondered what it would be like if there was no ref involved, this was the closest you were going to get to see it happen.
Stunned by that head kick. Jones trying to press the issue here. Trying to survive.
He's out. He's out.
Jon Jones has done it.
Jones and Cormier were in Las Vegas promoting their upcoming fight. During the press conference, words were exchanged. I guess neither fighter appreciated it very much, and a full-blown fight broke out. Now, if it were a lighter weight class, guards might have had an easier time. However, this was Jones and Cormier, so the brawl went on for a while longer than expected. At the end of it, the rest of the interview had to be filmed with both fighters being present at different locations. Even during this new interview format, Cormier was heard talking about how he wanted to spit in Jones's face. Jones quickly retaliated by saying that he would kill Cormier if he ever attempted something like that. A lot of people have clipped that moment in the interview. To this day, people think Jones was dead serious. I guess we'll never know since Cormier didn't end up going through with it. Jones was later fined $50,000 for his role in the brawl by the Nevada State Athletic Commission. It's safe to say that losing control wasn't the best decision when it came to his bank account. Well, folks, those were some of the most controversial moments of Jon Jones's career. See you in the next video.